I'm turning 36 next month. I need to have children. And if you're not interested, then I'm really sorry to say that it's just not going to work out. Starting a family was never a priority, and it never crossed my mind. Yeah, I guess in my 20s, I really just focused on partying and being like fun, creative, like living in Shoreditch.
Yeah, which is so valid. I mean, that's what you should do when you're a creative in London. But like with your parents coming from Hong Kong, were they quite like, would they have liked you to have had like kids younger?
Oh yeah. So I was with my partner at the time for 8 years. So between the age of like 21 and 29. And every time, it was a long time, and very like formative years. And every time my parents would see us, the first question would be, when are you buying a house? When are you having children? It was like every time. And I think at the time we just ignored that question and then never talked about it as a couple. No, that's a lie. We probably did have that conversation, but it'll always be, don't want to get married and definitely don't want to have children. But that, I feel like it came more from like his side, and I just kind of went along with it because at the time I was like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I don't want it either. That relationship ended when I was like 30. And then my older sister had her first baby when she was 33, so I would have been 32 at the time, and that's what changed everything for me. Like watching her grow up, just this like amazing thing.
Yeah.
Her name's Nico. Shout out to her. She's 8 now.
Nico's such a great name. That's actually on my list of great baby names.
It's a great name.
For a girl.
Works for a girl, works for a boy. So watching her grow up and going on holiday with her and my sister, just getting a glimpse of that motherhood life, really changed it for me and really made me realise that I wanted that, and I wanted to have that like life that I can nurture.
That's so interesting, because it was kind of similar for me in that I was always, when I was younger, when I was like 22, I always thought like, oh, I'll get married at like 26, have kids at 28. And then when you get into your career, you're like, it completely falls off your radar, because you're thinking about like, well, so you get paid so shit in the creative industries when you first come to London, that like the idea of having a child at 25 would be like impossible. But you're working up. And for me, it was also when my brother and his wife had the baby, and then he's now 2.5, 3, nearly 3. And for me, it was the same thing. I was suddenly like, oh, this actually looks like very difficult, but like really nice. Before then, I hadn't even, like, did your friends have any kids? If you were 30 when you broke up with your ex?
Yeah, at that point, none of my friends had children. A few of my like close colleagues had their first. But no one in my like kind of close friend circle. I'd say like 32 was when I was 32 was when everyone around me was having children. So yeah, it was a combination of my niece being born, everyone around me having kids, that really like spurred on that lust for the family.
Yeah. It's such like, I mean, everyone says that it suddenly happens, and I feel like it did with weddings. I'm still like, how old am I now? I'm 33. I've got a couple of friends. Actually, interestingly, all my friends in Germany have kids.
Yeah.
And they all got like married earlier. Whereas friends in London, a lot of them are still like, oh yeah, like in the future, like at some point, still really like career focused.
I always knew that first partner, long-term partner that I had in my 20s, he was never going to be the father of my child, just because his attitude to life was just very much like in the moment. He could never really settle down. I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast, actually. I always knew that he was never invested in long-term goals. And that for me was a real red flag, in that we were never going to like start a family or like have that like kind of long-term like life plan together.
It's interesting. Well, I mean, that happens a lot, doesn't it? I've also had loads of friends who've been in really long-term relationships and they've always been like, I don't want kids. And then they end that relationship and then they're like, oh, actually, I'm not like completely against it. It's like they just couldn't see it in their future with that person.
Yeah,
But they hadn't really like maybe said that to themselves.
yeah. I think that definitely rings true for my experience with that partner that I had in my 20s, and then had another long-term partner for about 4 years after that, and that ended for various other reasons. It was quite a toxic relationship, and that ended when I was 34, a couple of months before the pandemic. I break up with this partner. I moved back into my parents' house, which is my childhood home in North London.
That's
And
journey.
then the pandemic hits, and then I'm not dating for the foreseeable, I don't know, 6 months, because
Yeah.
it's just not, it wasn't possible. We couldn't meet other people. You know, so many dates involved walked in the park. Looking for a long-term partner was just off the cards for a long time in
So
that pandemic period.
when you ended it with your long-term partner and then you moved into this next relationship, the one that was a bit toxic, was that like you were going into it thinking in the back of your head, like, okay, now I kind of have kids on my radar?
Yeah, dating through lockdown was an experience because, to be honest, at that point, everyone was just looking for one night stands or short term things. They were just looking for something to like have a release from this just very like restrictive period of being like locked down and like locked in the house. So people weren't really looking for like long term relationships. Yeah, that was really difficult. So in the end, I just gave up on even looking because it was just too frustrating to explain to people, well, actually, I'm 34 and I'm not interested in that kind of a relationship. I'm looking for a long-term partner or someone that I feel like I can have a steady relationship with and have children. And I was also using like OK Cupid, which is like a very outdated app that I don't think many Gen Zers or even like know what it is. But it was where I found like my previous partner. So I was like, okay, well maybe I'll just like log in and have a look. And then Joseph popped up.
Oh my God, so actually on OK Cupid.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I met Joseph in 2021.
And you're how old at this point?
I'm 35, but soon to be 36. And we meet. He drives down from Shropshire to East London, and he stays over for a couple of nights. At this point, we'd already been like talking to each other for a couple of months, maybe. So we knew it was going to go well. We knew that like we could like trust each other and things weren't going to go wrong. And I think 2 days after he'd like stayed with me, we like go out to Brixton. We're just having a walk around Brockwell Park, and that's when I bring up the topic of children, and I say, look, I know we've just met, and you know I don't want to scare you because he was quite a bit younger than me. He's 5 years younger than me. So at this point, I'm nearly 36 and he's 31. Like just laid it out on the table. I said, I'm turning 36 next month. I need to have children. And if you're not interested, then I'm really sorry to say that it's just not going to work out. I'm looking for a partner that, yeah, wants to do this with me. And, you know, I know we've only met like 48 hours ago, but yeah, I basically laid it out as it is and said, I need to be having children within 1 year.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, the relationship moved like quite quickly. We went on our first holiday, like 2 months of like meeting to south of France, just to like spend like some really like solid time with each other. He moves into my house the following year, and then I get pregnant like maybe 11 months after we first met.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was quite a whirlwind. Yeah.
And he was like, had he been thinking that stuff himself? He was like, I want to be a parent. Or was he like, no, I've just met someone who I'm so excited about that I want to do it with you?
The latter.
Yeah.
He really wanted to be a young, like he didn't want to be an old dad, basically. And he was really keen on like starting a family as well. I guess the only thing he was really nervous about at the time was that he was quite early on in his career. So he's in quite a different life stage.
Right.
He's an architect. So he only just finished his further education when he was like 26.
Right.
So he'd only been working for about 5 years, whereas I've been, at this point, I'm 35, so I've been working for about 14 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm here and he's like there. So yeah, I guess that was the only.
And he didn't have any like minor freak out about that conversation. He was just like, okay,
he was surprisingly like very calm. I think he was more impressed that I knew exactly what I wanted, and I'd already like figured out what was going on with like my work life. That I'd had like a kind of quite traumatic like previous relationship, but I'd already like come out of that and like knew what I wanted and what I was trying to achieve. Yeah, he didn't seem like that fazed by it. So that put my mind and heart at rest.
Yeah.